Hi, this is Jason Fielder with the Daily Forex Report for October 29th. Taking a look at the US Japanese yen pair. I'm expecting this pair to move between 142 and on the lower side 95.17. Now look for some resistance, assuming that it pushes higher at 98.50, and support. Look for support to come into this market around 96. Now switching over to the Euro USD pair, we have a overextended trade. For those of you that follow those, we basically have a buy at the open. It's a little bit down, which would be a good time to get in for this trade, and we're looking for it to retrace the high of this particular session, and we have basically a 37 pip possible profit there. So for those of you who follow that and use the indicator, that's it triggered today. Now I am looking for the session to move between 130.72 and on the lower side 125.13. Now look for some resistance around the 130.08 level, and as far as support, look for some support around 128.50. Switching over to the pound US dollar pair. This pair, of course, moved higher today, surged higher. I am expecting this pair to move between 167.91 on the high side, on the low side 157.24. Now we do have, I am looking for some resistance to come into this market around 164.75 and some support around 162.50 level. So definitely look for those levels. Now looking at the US Swiss, I'm expecting this market to move, and this is kind of high, but 116.77 on the lower side 111.84. Look for some resistance to come into this market around 113.20 and some support around 112.50, the 112.50 level, which is roughly right about there. Now this particular pair we have, this pair also has, looking forward, we also have a overextended trade in this particular pair. Now it has moved down and pulled back some, but basically we're looking at the close there of this session, going short and buying back or closing that trade out when it hits the low of this session. We do have a possible 56 pips for that particular move. So if you want to go ahead and place that trade, you may want to see if it's going to pull back all the way, since it's already down a little bit. Don't know if that will occur. If it does pull back and up higher, and then you can put your order in, and so if it goes back down after testing and then pushing back down, that's a really good indication that it's going to go ahead and go through that price. I haven't run the numbers on it, but I know once it tests it and then bounces back, it could be a really good move. So the follow through on it's really high. There's a possible 56 pips to grab there out of the two. 37 pips on the euro and 56 on the Swiss. I'd probably take them both, actually. But if you recall, the past couple of days we've been looking at inside bars, and I just wanted to kind of go over what occurred. We originally had three that we were looking at, and this was the first one in the Swiss, and that day didn't really work out. We didn't get any trades off of it, and the other two pairs moved beyond, but not in the direction we wanted them to, and we didn't get a break. But then we had another inside bar created, so we had double inside bars. We had one here and then one here going forward. I'd mentioned that we're looking basically to break this session's low. Look for this, originally look for 100 pips, 100 pips risk to reward. So 1-to-1 there, and look for it to push lower. I did mention that when it hits this low of this session that we should see some support come into the market, and indeed we did. But you can choose to get out. If you did choose to get out at that point, you still made a profit of 29 pips, so that's not too bad off this little trade. Now, if you held on to it for the full 100 pips, you know, that would have gotten you out somewhere around here, and you would have made 100 pips off that. Now, if you would have held on to it all day, basically getting in and holding it until the close today, you would have made 201 pips for this session. So when I talk about inside bars, not every case is like this. Obviously, there are times where we get stopped out. There are times when they don't develop as it did in the other two pairs. But there are days like this that you get, and they really make you smile. I really hope that you got some of that, either the 29 pips, 100 pips, or the full 200 pips off of this particular trade that we had. Now, looking forward, or let's look back real quick. The Fed, of course, I know everyone probably knows the news already, but the Fed lowered rates from 1.50% to 1% as expected. Really didn't affect the market all that much. Looking ahead, though, we have the Bank of Japan releasing their rate decision sometime tomorrow, and the consensus is they're going to hold. I would be shocked if they did anything but hold at this point. Now, the U.S. has their GDP being released for the third quarter, and that's going to be released at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. The consensus is that we've dropped from 2.8% down to negative 0.5%, so a pretty drastic drop there. I would be surprised if it actually doesn't hit that mark, even though that seems a little much. I would be surprised if it's at least not that low. But anyway, looking forward, the Japanese have their CPI for September. Year to date, it's expected to be the same at 2.1%. That's being released at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. And that pretty much takes care of our major news announcements for tomorrow. So until then, till next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.